Hello and welcome to Story X Story, the podcast by My Matter that dives deep into stories across pop culture, brings you closer to the people who make them, plus gives you advice on creating your own. It's episode 246, and I'm your co-host Nigel.
I am Tazziii, content creator, voice actor, and co-host.
And as always, we're bringing you interesting discussions with diverse voices. And to help us out today, as we try and figure out who is the GOAT, is illustrator and animator Fahim Motahar. Fahim, welcome back to the show. How's it going?
Hello, hello. Glad to be back. It's been going good. Lots to talk about.
Yeah, we've got apparently we've got a lot of hot takes, so be prepared for. No, actually, I didn't hot to lukewarm to lemon and herb takes. So for him, first time you've been with us talking about a story, but you have been on the podcast before for an interview episode. So we'll put a link to that if you want to hear more about the work that Fahim does and his journey. You can check that out. And yeah, we'll be picking your brain for all things animation for this story today. You can subscribe to Story X Story wherever you get your podcasts from. That includes Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and YouTube as well. You can also send us your feedback and questions in a variety of ways. You can chat with us in the My Matter Studio 77 Discord. You can email us studio77 at mymatter.com. Or you can throw your thoughts at us on social media. We are at MyMatter TV on Instagram and TikTok, and at mymatter.com on Blue Sky, or at Live with a W Gamer on Instagram and TikTok, and at Tazziii on everything else. You can also head to mymatter.com to discover the My Matter brand, find out more about what we do. Obviously, you know, we do podcasts, but there's some other stuff in there. We do characters. We've got stories, we've got manga. Check that out online. We do events and community activities and other things, other shows that you can get involved with as well. Next up on My Matter, we are looking ahead to our Studio 77 report. So for those that don't know, Studio 77 is our digital platform and growing community where creatives at any stage can connect and grow and create together. So we are on a mission to equip generations to thrive on that creative journey. And we're making space for creatives to share what's happening on their journey. So each season we do a live stream, the Studio 77 report. And as of this year, we are opening up space for guests to share what they've been working on. So we've got the next one coming up for the summer. We'll be recording that in May. And if you have something that you are working on, doesn't have to be finished, in progress, let us know. We've had people share on stream before. And yeah, we'll keep that going for that seasonal live stream. You can also share in the Discord as well, and we'll shout people out there. For the last one, for spring, we set a challenge. We wanted to see how people were embracing renewal for the spring season. So we want to see people's fresh starts or experiments or reinvented projects. You can share with us on social media. Use the hashtag #ImagineMore, or you can put them directly in our Discord community as well, and we'll feature some of those in the summer Studio 77 report. So make sure you join our Discord and be part of that creative journey. So we've got the main story discussion to come, but let's get started with some of the other stories that we've been consuming recently.
Yeah, so this is our chance to have a spoiler-free discussion about what stories everyone has been reading, watching, or playing. And we'll start with our guest. So Fahim, do you want to go first?
Yeah, okay. Have you guys heard of Outer Wilds? This indie game?
Yes.
It's from a few years ago.
Is that classed as indie? Is it not? Is that
It's
like an
pretty,
Xbox
yeah, it's proper.
Studios?
It's proper indie. It was Mobius Digital, so they're a small team. I guess the publisher, Xbox. I don't know. It's one of those weird, might be one of those weird situations where it's kind of indie, but maybe not.
Yeah.
Like the money's not indie, but the team is. But yeah, I have been getting everybody I know to play this game because I already finished it like a couple of years ago. But I've been just re-experiencing the story again and again, like vicariously living through that journey again, because it's just so beautiful. And I mean, without giving it away, it's just a very existential game. It really makes you think about life, and I love seeing people's reactions because I do think everybody kind of has a different take from like the ending of the game and that journey that they go through. So, and it touches that sci-fi kind of itch for me. I'm a big sci-fi guy, at least recently. So, and I feel like there aren't enough good sci-fi games out there.
Is it a long game?
Mm-mm. No,
Okay.
it's not long at all. It is, I think you could probably finish it in, if you're good at puzzles, and I wasn't good at puzzles, so it took me like 25-ish hours, but you could probably finish this in like half that time if you know what you're doing with your puzzles.
I like remember it like being like coming out, and I was like, oh yeah, I should probably try that out. And I never did.
Yeah, I
So
mean,
maybe I'll circle back to it.
yeah, it's one of those things that feels like such a complete package because the way they've done the game design and the music and the narrative, it all blends together so perfectly. And I feel like
Mm,
very few games do that. Like everything adds to the themes of the game.
okay.
And the music is literally, I think, is probably my most played music kind of when I'm working and or illustrating. So yeah,
Nice.
definitely recommend it. I've also been reading a book. Actually, I just finished it recently as well. The Anarchy by William Dalrymple. So this one's just a story because it's not fiction. It is just pure history. But I think William exaggerates some bits, just adds a bit of flavor to the it because it felt like I was reading Game of Thrones at some parts. But yeah, it's basically about the East India Company and how they came to power and kind of basically colonized India. And I always knew growing up, so I'm half Indian, half Bengali, and I only knew the surface level kind of history of this time period. And so I really wanted to just deep dive and kind of get to the meat of the whole situation, what like really went on, who are the different parties involved. And it's actually fascinating. Like it's like, I mean, I treated it like as if I was reading Game of Thrones because the way the politics kind of emerged from that time, from all the different Mughal emperors and the Indian different dynasties that were fighting over India at the time, and then the way the British manipulated them is fascinating, to be honest. So definitely recommend that if you guys are history buffs. If anyone's a history buff out there, definitely check it out.
I'm definitely not a history buff, but the way you've described how it is, I like knowledge.
Yeah,
So,
yeah.
and the fact that it sounds, if you felt like you were reading Game of Thrones,
No,
and
yeah.
I'm like, yeah, I can, that sounds cool. I want to read that. Gain information and be entertained.
It's quite impressive how do I put it? Because it kind of the story goes through like over the course. I say story, it goes over the course of 100 years. It covers like hundreds of years of history, so it really feels like you're getting like this grand time scale of everything that went on. And I found out towards the end of the book that the East India Company is now owned by a couple of brothers. I think they're in like of Indian heritage, and they just have like a boutique store somewhere in central London called East India Company. And so that's the only like you know the only thing that
Mm,
exists now of that
Yeah.
empire, which
How the
yeah.
is
mighty have fallen. Like
yeah, yeah.
they got a corner shop. And,
Exactly. Yeah, basically.
I feel like the East India Company keeps coming up like on my radar recently,
Yeah.
like either in like fictional stories or
Where else did it come up?
so I recently watched Out for Dodger, which is about the British colonies in Australia.
Oh, I've not heard of this. Okay.
Oh, it's such a good show. It's so fun. It's like the Artful Dodger from Oliver Twist, but like he's grown up.
Okay.
It's so good. Oh my god, it's so much drama. It's just fun drama. Anyway, so it comes up in that because obviously trading and stuff. And then I don't know, something the other day I was listening to something and it came up. I cannot remember why, and I was like,
Yeah,
huh.
no, it's fascinating how much of an impact that one company has had. Just because I mean they're kind of partially responsible for like the Opium Wars and in China,
Mm.
and then like the Boston Tea Party in America. Like there's so much going on with that one single entity. Yeah, so much of the modern world is shaped from it.
And this is why I don't like conglomerates.
Amen.
I've added it to my story graph, so I will eventually get around to it at some point.
I love Storygraph. I use that as well.
Do
It's
you? Oh my
great.
god, you're the first
Yeah,
person that I've come across that uses
Storygraph is great.
it.
I switched from Goodreads because Storygraph is like I think it's an independent
Yeah.
Is it she an African American creator? Website creator?
Yeah,
Yeah,
she
she's so
is.
good.
Yeah, that's why I switched to it as well.
Yeah.
And then because I was looking for something else for ages, and I think it's just a better app. Like,
It's a very good app.
yeah. Anyway, we're not here to talk about apps that we use. So maybe we should add a section.
Yeah, thanks for the recommendation.
Yeah. So I just finished Severance the other day, season 2. So anyone that doesn't know this is a Apple TV show, and the premise is like about these people who work for a company, but while they're at work, they're a severed part of their brain that has no memory of what life is like outside of work, and they're essentially like a different person. And oh my god, the ending of season 2, I was not expecting that, and I'm like, I need season 3 now because I need answers. Like, it's one of those ones where season 2 answered many questions that you had from season 1, but then left a whole new array of questions to be answered in season 3. So yeah, really good. Another one that actually a few others I've just finished. I finally finished Dan season 2.
Nice. How'd you like it?
I loved it. The thing is with season 2, I really enjoyed the start of season 2, really enjoyed the end of season 2. There was just one bit in the middle, specific couple of episodes.
Was it around the new guy? I forget his name.
Oh no, I love him. No, it was spoilerish alert. I'll try and do like a spoiler free. It's when Dan and what's her name? Silky, the one with the hair.
Oh, yeah.
They go off on
Becky with the hair.
Yeah, they go off on a training mission together to train.
Oh, I remember that. Yeah, I wasn't a fan of that part either, actually.
Yeah, it's those 2. I think it's 2 episodes. Those 2 specific ones. Oh my god, I was just so bored. Like, it just didn't. I was not feeling it. And then as soon as we got to the other side, I was like, oh, we're back. This feels like the show I was watching again. And I really loved the ending. I really like the kind of collecting the crew together, the assembly of it all. And I just love the characters. I love how they develop over time, and
I love the pacing of it. The pacing of it is just so electric, which is kind of. I want to talk. We'll talk about pacing, I'm sure, in the
definitely.
Oh yeah, as well.
For sure.
Definitely talk about that.
It's an interesting comparison.
And then I just finished Jack of All Trades, which I had started watching, and I think it gets better as it goes on. It's like it's a mid-tier anime. Like, it's not like amazing, it's not the best, but it is a good anime. But yeah, really enjoying that. And then,
without knowing anything about Jack of All Trades, is it at all similar to Spice and Wolf? Is it about like? Is there like some economics slice of life?
No. It's a like fantasy dungeon adventure.
Oh, okay, very different to what I was thinking.
Very different. Okay. Yeah, very different to And I finished Arcana Academy, and oh my god, I'm so sad that I finished. I was literally so sad. I read it like in the early afternoon, and I literally done nothing with the rest of my day because I was so sad that it finished. Like, and I have to wait till July for the next book to come out. And I'm like, that's too long. Like, I can't wait that long for it. Oh my god. And the way it ended. If anyone's an Arcana Academy fan, please message me. Like, I am begging you. I need people to talk to about this that are gonna get it, because it is so good. All the fantasy romantasy books are out there. This is the best one. This was genuinely a fantasy book first, romance second, and even then, can you even call that romance? It's yearning, it's longing, it's forbidden, I don't even know if you can call that romance. I called it enemies to lovers before. I just think it's enemies.
Just enemies.
That happen to be lovers at some point. I don't think they quite fully get to the, like, Like, I don't know if you, yeah, the way that, like, the last line in that book, talk about cliffhanger. Like, has anyone done, you know, like on a roller coaster, has anyone been on Oblivion?
Oh, yeah. Alton Towers.
Okay. Yeah. If you've been on Oblivion at Alton Towers, this is the cliffhanger that happened. You know when you're
Oh,
at the
wow.
top of Oblivion
Yeah.
and it just hangs you there?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Is that what this book did?
that's what this book did. Or if you do like a bungee jump.
I was in it ended at the top.
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah,
okay.
yeah.
Okay.
Like,
Oh, man,
it's
that's
your,
nasty.
look, it's literally a cliffhanger. Like, that moment before you do like a bungee jump, just that bit, just when you're looking on the edge, that's where it left you.
I hate
Like,
that. How
but it was
many
like,
books is it at the moment?
so I don't know how long it's planned to be, but this is the first book, and then there's the second book
Okay.
is coming out in July. But
Okay.
I hope it's like a 7-book series, because it's so magical, it's so fantasy, it's so raw. Like, it's got the leading character is a woman, and she's just tough in all the right place. Like, it's, so I would talk about this book forever. So the last thing that I want to talk about is Loot. So I'm in the middle of season 2, another Apple TV one. This is the boss women section, because it's basically about a billionaire. So someone who's married to a woman that's married to a billionaire. I mean, she is a billionaire, but they get divorced because he's like a very stereotypical billionaire man.
Right.
And
It's about Jeff Bezos.
yeah, I mean, just insert generic billionaire. And like, so he cheats on her with like a younger woman. I don't even know if you can say woman, girl. And
Oh, this is like Trump.
and then so then she's basically like finding herself, and also like totally wins in terms of like how much money she's left with. Like, it's a lot in the divorce. So she's then like has to pay attention to all these businesses, and it's like about her kind of like relearning herself, relearning how to be somewhat independent, and like stepping into like her boss lady power energy. And it's got like this really fun group of people that she ends up that work for her in this company that she had no idea she had.
Is it a modern setting, or is it like
Yeah,
kind of...
it's modern day. Yeah. So it's amazing. It's so good because she's so disconnected from like everyday lives, and then she's surrounded by this team that are all kind of a bit quirky in their own ways, and they're like the comparison and like the way everyone kind of works together and learns about each other, and like, because they don't know how to ask for stuff, but she's used to like just everyone says yes, she's got money, she can pay for everything, so she kind of brings that energy to them. It's very good, it's very satisfying. Yeah, that's what I've written. They're my stories for the week. Nigel, what about yours?
So actually, you mentioned Disconnected. That kind of ties a bit to one of the stories that I have been watching. Actually, these are all watching ones today. The first one's Peaky Blinders, The Immortal Man, which is the film ending to the Peaky Blinders series, which I've spoken about a few times on the show because it's great. I love it. It's one of my favorites. It is a crime drama, which I tend to like. And the leading character is fantastically played by Cillian Murphy. So it's about Tommy Shelby, who is, or I guess the premise of this was the head of this Birmingham-based crime family in the no, actually before the 1930s, because I think the series, after World War One, and then the film is World War Two. So there's a connection there. I actually haven't finished it. I thought I would finish it today. So by the time people listen to this, I would have finished it. But as we record, I haven't quite. But I think for me, it's going to be interesting when it does finish, how I view it, because it's one of those where I don't know if it's good, but it's what I want. So it's one of those ones where I think the idea was they were going to make another series, but then either the pandemic or the writer's strike or some combination impacted that and made a film instead. And yeah, I just, give me more Peaky Blinders. So I'll need to watch it and take some time to judge whether it's good or not. But yeah, I'm happy so far. Just happy with some Peaky Blinders. It is weird because some of the characters aren't in it from previous seasons, but yeah, I'll take what I can get, and if it's a nice cap to the whole series, then that does me. So watching that, also watched Project Hail Mary, which I don't know if anyone else has seen this, but
I
I
need
was
to.
gonna
I need
go
to watch
see
it. I
it.
keep. Yeah. Same.
this is a film that, so I saw on Letterboxd, someone put it quite nicer, where I'm okay with saying it's not your favorite film, or it's not the best film, but if you say you don't like it, I don't trust you. I think that's the because this is just it's a nice film. Like Ryan Gosling is a good actor. Like I feel like that's the main reason I want to see it, because wherever I've seen him in, I tend to like. So the idea is, and also I should mention, for those that don't know, it's actually based on a book, a pretty recent book by the same name,
Yeah.
by Andy Weir. So the whole premise is this school teacher wakes up on board a spacecraft and he has a bit of amnesia, which he kind of deals with quickly, but or at least in the film, and then the story progresses. But it's all about, what would I say it's about? I was going to say it's about friendship. I think it is about it is about friendship, because he essentially he makes friends with with an alien. That's the premise as well. And I won't say anything else there, but like Ryan, it's one of those. It's not quite completely solitary, but he is alone for much of it. And the way the film is structured, you have the present day of him on the ship in space, and then you have essentially flashbacks that kind of tell you how he got to where he is, not just like physically, but what the goal is and what the stakes are around it and everything. So it's kind of that two-part structure there. But yeah, it's just about making friends, about
Have you
communicating.
read this? Have you read the book as well then, or?
I have not, but I now want to.
Yeah, because I wonder how different it is.
Yeah, I've heard, because I was listening to a tech podcast talk about this, and I think what I've heard is that both stand up well on their own. So it's one of those.
Mm.
But then the usual thing of like the film has to sort of condense things and skip bits, which you sort of expect. But from what I've heard, both are good in their own right, and I do want to read it. And I feel for where we are in the world now, it's just nice to watch this, watch
Yeah,
people come
it's like a
together.
feel good.
It really is, but not in a. And I don't want to dismiss it, because I think it's a good film. It is actually a well done film, but it also has the like feel good factor, which I feel is not to be dismissed. And it's quite long, but yeah, it's just nice. I feel everyone should watch this. And
We need more feel good stories. I think.
Yeah.
it's just it's a feel good. Ryan Gosling does really well, and it's nice to be reminded that people from literally different planets can communicate and make positive relationships. That's a thing that can happen. So there you go. And actually, let me go to the other side. Let me brings me to my last one. It's a documentary, and it's Louis Theroux, Inside the Manosphere, which actually should have ended. I should have ended on Project Hail Mary. Actually, I'm realizing the error of my ways right now. This is not a good watch. It's a depressing watch. I feel it's important. So I will say, I did not actually. I will, for those that don't know, like the Manosphere. It's Louis Theroux, who is, he's got a reputation of he'll go into a space and industry, whatever, and what came up in the documentary was like he does hit pieces, which I guess is that his reputation? Is that how people
I don't know.
see
I
him?
think I feel like I disagree with that. I feel like he's less of
I
a.
feel it's unfair.
Yeah. Yeah.
Do you think that it's the people that feel called out?
You can only do a hit piece if there's something to hit.
Yeah. Exactly.
I think that's it.
Amen. That's beautifully put. Beautifully put.
So yeah,
It's like going like someone's a hammer, but there's nails that need hammering.
yeah, it's a bit of that. So, and I was wondering, because when I saw the trailer and the premise, I wondered how they let him in, and it does come up pretty early. Like, people saying, "Oh, watch out for this guy. He's here to take you down," and da da da. And there's varying levels of trust that these people have. So the manosphere that people don't know, I'm not sure how to describe. It's basically, it's men. We'll say that first of all. And I guess the easiest way, Andrew Tate. So that guy. and people like him. I think that's the easiest way. So he
It's
goes into
toxic
this world.
masculinity to the max.
Yeah, there you go. So it's this idea of like, yeah, hyper masculinity, toxic masculinity, this idea of like red pilling, which I'm old enough to remember the Matrix when that was just a narrative thing. Now it's a whole worldview, and from what I see, not a very nice one. And just people who have just different views on gender roles and wow, wow. So I would say, because I know of Andrew Tate, I know this thing exists, and I will hold my hands up. I guess I didn't realize how how deep it is and how widespread it is, and it might still just be like the minority of men and young men, but from what I can see, it's enough that this is a problem. This is actually a generational problem.
I've not watched it yet, but the reactions that I've seen of it, I'm like, I think obviously I need to watch it and make my own view, but I think I'm glad that it exists because I feel like
Yeah.
there's a lot of people that like you didn't realize how bad it is, and then I feel like a lot of women are just sitting here like, yeah, it's what we've been trying to say.
Yeah, it's kind of, I guess, as bad as you want. You're thinking it is. It's just these people, how they live, and how I think for me I mean, there's lots of things, but the way the people in their lives, like the women who are in this, kind of rationalize their place in it. Like Louis Theroux, he comes in and he asks like basic questions and then push back, and you can see the rationalization happening like real time when they try. No, this is okay. Either the guys or the women with them. And I think the scary thing that really like whoa is there's moments in there where you see like young men react to them, and it's really like just they are on a pillar, they are revered, and that's scary. That's actually scary. Like you can see where they've come in and they've occupied that. These guys are the truth. What they're saying is real, and I think it points to their. And this is a whole other conversation, but I think it points to like there is a gap, and these people are filling it. And I think that's something that needs to be addressed. And yeah, what shared, I'll be interested. I mean, I feel like I already know your thoughts, Tazziii, but
I feel like I already know my thoughts.
No, yeah. There's no surprises here. But I think the other reason I wanted to mention it is it reminds me, because I've had before watching this, I've had conversations with people where I brought up some anime that I feel just people should watch, and particularly young boys should watch. And one of them is Tokyo Revengers. So I just wanted to throw in some anime here that I feel, because I've mentioned Tokyo Revengers as one I feel like. Yeah, just bad. Yeah. That young boys and even parents should watch with their sons, and seeing how, yeah, I guess another way, a better way to be quote unquote manly. But yeah, this is anime about young kid who is not a fighter. He's in a world of fighters, a world of gangs. He is very emotional, gets punched more than anyone I've seen in any show ever. He cries more than I've seen a male character cry. But the other characters respect him and come to really follow him because of his like never give up attitude, his empathy, and all that. And the like Dr. Stone, the protagonist, is smart. he's not very strong. His thing is his brain. There's others. I feel like I'm just going to bring things up as well. I just feel like there's other ways to be, and this thing has worried me in ways I wasn't expecting. I thought it was just Andrew Tate. And I've been introduced to a whole roster of guys that are having detrimental impact. So yeah, that's definitely should have ended on Project Hail Mary, but that is what I have been watching and enjoying for the most part up until that last one, right at the end there. So yeah, those are our stories that we have been, if not enjoying, definitely watching and thinking about. But with all that, let's get to our main story discussion. Today, we are going to be talking about GOAT, the 2026 sports animation produced by Sony Pictures Animation and directed by Tyree Dillahay. It stars Caleb McLaughlin, Gabrielle Union, Aaron Pierre, David Harbour, Nick Kroll, Jennifer Lewis, Patton Oswalt, Jelly Roll, Wayne Knight, Jennifer Hudson, Sherry Cole. There's a lot of people in this. It isn't even in the whole list. Andrew Santino and Bobby Lee, alongside actual basketball players. So Stephen Curry, of one, and many others from the NBA and WNBA as well, which I'll point out later. So, spoiler alert, we will get into all the details that we have time for. So, if you haven't seen it, go watch that. Come back to us. We'll get everyone's quick takes and general impressions before I do the recap. Let's start with our guest, Fahim. What did you think about this film?
No, God, where do I even begin? There's, for me, there were a lot of lows and some highs in the
Mm,
movie. But overall, I felt just kind of mid,
mm,
unfortunately. And I also think I wasn't the target demographic. So it's just the story it didn't really do much for me. And I
yeah,
think, I just wanted to see it dive a bit deeper, just a little bit more into kind of some of the themes kind of just touched on, because I think there was a lot of potential with this, to
mm,
be honest. But I think that's my quick take.
yeah. No, I definitely feel that. Tazzy, what did you think about the story?
I think overall, I think it's a fun film. I also feel similar to Fahim. Like it kind of like feel like it started quite high and then kind of like flattened and then kind of rose a little bit. It was like it felt like it felt like it was holding back.
Mm-hmm.
Like I feel like it was holding back from it. I don't feel like the satisfaction of I watched the movie that it was meant to be,
Yeah.
but it was still enjoyable. It just, yeah, I feel like it didn't reach its full potential. It feels
Yeah.
half baked. Feels like it got taken out of the oven a bit too early.
It moved too quickly. All right. I would say, first of all, one of the reasons, not the main reason, but one of the reasons was adding this film allowed me to talk sports. So I was doing a backdoor kind of thing to introducing sports. So sorry, Tazzy, on on that. And we were going to have a guest that's gonna be perfect for this, but schedules and things which happened. So I'm gonna have to carry the sports talk on this. The other thing is when I did put it on a schedule, I didn't know what to expect. I'd optimistic, that's the word, optimistic, but a bit wary about this because it's a new IP, which is itself not a problem, but I felt it could go a couple ways, especially because I knew Steph Curry, who plays for the Golden State Warriors basketball team and is arguably one of the greatest of all time. I don't think he's necessarily in that conversation, but he's, he wouldn't dismiss his name being brought up. And it's kind of like, what does he know about making animation, or at least being involved in producing animation? So I was a bit wary. I think watching it, I enjoyed it, but I think I tend to agree with him where it felt it could have been more. Like it had a lot of the pieces there where it could have been more. Weirdly, I felt a similar way. So our last deep dive was on Zootopia 2, and my
Oh,
comments
interesting.
there were, or at least I started saying I enjoyed it and I think it was really good, but there was a but. And then as we talked about it, I was like, oh no, actually this is a good film. So I'm going to copy and paste those comments here because I think it applies more here where I did enjoy it, but there was a level where it could have got to and it didn't get there. And then we'll talk about why and what it could have done. So yeah, it's going to be interesting breaking this down. It's particularly to your point, Fahim, about the intended audience, and that was the reason, or not the reason, but that was one of the things after watching it and putting together the notes that I do want to talk about this film because I think there's an important point here about like intended audiences. So there you go. But yeah, I'll recap the story because this is a story that takes us to an anthropomorphic world. Oh yeah, that was the other reason why I put it on the schedule because it's animals. I feel like it's a duty for us to talk about anthropomorphic stories. So it takes us to an anthropomorphic world where a young goat named Will Harris wants to be like his idol, Jet Fillmore, who's a Black Panther, and a raw ball player for the Vineland Thorns. 10 years later, the Thorns have not won all season. Jet asks the owner, Florence Everson, who's a warthog, to get them to compete by finding a sixth player. Meanwhile, Will is working at a diner and practicing raw ball, but struggling to pay his rent. He goes one-on-one with the horse main attraction, the lead player for the Lava Coast Magma. Betting all the money he has, Will loses, and his apartment is repossessed or just given to someone. I can't remember what animal that person was, but someone there. So he moves in with friends Daryl and Hannah. The next morning, a video of Will breaking Maine's ankles goes viral, and Will is signed to the Thorns by Flo, enraging Jet. Will is introduced by coach Dennis Cooper to the team. Archie, who's a rhino, Lenny, who's a giraffe, Modo, who's a Komodo dragon, and Olivia, who's an ostrich. But Will is on the bench for a few games at least, but is eventually subbed in when Jet gets a technical foul and has to sit out. He scores the winning point for the Thorns' first win and gains the respect of his other teammates. While filming a promotional video, Jet gets angry and leaves the shoot, leading Will to take her to the diner he used to work at. Jet sees that the city supports her, and Will reminds Jet of his mother's ambitions for him to play rollerball before she died. Jet calls out Maine on a live stream and allows Dennis to actually coach the team, leading to the Thorns going on a winning streak to make the playoffs. And before the semi-final, Flo tells Jet that she has sold the Thorns and everyone will be cut. Will overhears, but Jet forces him to keep quiet. But when the team starts off poorly, Will reveals all, upsetting the team and leading Jet to go back to hogging the ball in her play. The Thorns win, but the team quits because of Jet's selfishness. Eventually, Jet apologizes before the finals, and with Will's help, the pair gets the team back together to face off against the Magma. During the game, Maine causes Jet to get a possibly career-ending injury, and she is forced to walk on crutches. But Archie gets an ejection, and Jet decides to step back in, helping distract the Magma to get the ball to Will, who makes the winning shot. And as they celebrate, Maine's hair gets burned away, while Flo is chased off the field by Archie's twin daughters. Back in Vineland, the Thorns celebrate, and Modo reveals that he has won ownership of the team in a card game, allowing them all to stay. The end. So yeah, like I said, it's an original effort, original film, original IP, and one from Sony, who decided, I don't know why, but decided to release this in theaters, whereas other recent productions like K-pop Demon Hunters went straight to Netflix. I don't know if that was like an estimation of how they felt each would do. Obviously, probably maybe wrong on both counts. And then I know they do have a deal with Netflix, so there's a exclusivity thing going on there. Actually, Fahim, I don't know if you know why this one was out in cinemas.
I do not. I couldn't tell you. It
Yeah,
is a strange choice though. I do want to know what must have happened behind the scenes for this one to be to have been selected for
because I
theaters.
I know that with K-pop Demon Hunters, I imagine the surprise. I mean, certainly the level of success, but there was a surprise in how well it did, and I
Yeah.
wonder if they just essentially like guessed, like, oh, we think this one is worthy of straight to Netflix, whereas this one, especially with the names attached to it, should go in cinemas. So yeah, and I think the immediate thing for me when I saw it was the visual style, and particularly coming from Sony, because since Toy Story in 1995, I feel like we just collectively come to expect Pixar, like the Pixar house style, as the standard in animation. But once you get to Spider-Man into the Spider-Verse, that was disrupted, and visually at least, I feel GOAT continues that. And it's an interesting story, isn't it? Well, I say it's maybe not executed in the most interesting way, but it's one of those stories that you can get behind, this idea of being small in a world of bigger characters. What
A
do you think?
medium.
Say that again.
He's not a small, he's a
Yeah,
medium.
he's a
Oh
medium.
yes,
Yeah. Self-proclaimed medium.
self-proclaimed media. So yeah, I was. That took me a while. What do you think it is about smalls or mediums, like following their journey, that makes for a good story? Because it's quite a universal one, right?
It's the hero's journey. I think it's a very classic hero's journey where you have your character. I mean, quite literally being small in this case, but kind of you expect that character to go on this arc, and then at the end he kind of beats his enemies or kind of surprises kind of
I
grows. But
think, yeah. I think as well, like, especially in this case where it is anthropomorphic, it's anyone can relate to it. Anyone can relate to feeling small. Like, you feel like you're the less than in whatever you're trying to pursue. And then, because I think it like touched on like it showed that in a few different ways. Not only was he from like a low social economic background, he was also physically small for Rawball in a place where they traditionally have not let
Yeah.
animals of his size in. And so I feel like people can relate to being in a situation where they're not allowed in. Like they've not been welcomed in, even though they've put all of this time and effort and they know everything. It's quite like it's maybe not a universal experience, but
No.
It's a
And,
relatable one, I
Yeah.
think,
yeah, it's a
for
I don't
relatable
sure.
think
one.
anyone in the Manosphere has felt this.
Yeah,
I
yeah.
would, yeah, yeah.
I think
They
this
need
is
to be,
a
yeah,
foreign
yeah, yeah.
experience for those guys.
Yeah.
I would
More
say though,
power
I
to
feel
them.
like as much as the story is about the main character, like Will being small, I don't think it has any impact on, because it kind of, I mean, it shows there's some like elements in the story, but overall, I feel like his size or his background doesn't feel like it had really
Uh,
any impact on the overall story. But that's just my opinion. I don't know how you guys felt about that.
I felt like it had
yeah.
some impact, but I get what you like. It wasn't like the main thing, which I kind of liked. I felt for me, it was more about his skill. Like he puts in the effort,
Hmm.
and he's not even like he's not being given that chance.
Yeah.
And I think that really shows like when him and Jet have that like one-on-one like shot competition, and she's just like no, he's like getting all of the shots.
Yeah.
And she's like no, she refuses to
Just
like
can't accept it.
Acknowledge. Yeah.
acknowledge that he's got that skill, even though he like literally trains and works hard for it.
I mean, it's a bit like Zootopia, a bit because you have, a small character, so protagonist or one of the protagonists, and they're in a position where the others in that role don't see them as serious. And we had that conversation about why that works. So it's kind of like I say, it's not quite universal, but it for a lot of people it does feel relatable. It even reminded me of Marty Supreme, who it's completely different story and a completely different character, but this idea about like for him, you said like the hero's journey, and even though I definitely would not describe that character as a hero, but he goes on this journey where he has to. Well, it feels like he feels like he has to prove himself to others, and goes on wild adventures because of it. And it's also it's a directorial debut for Tyree Delahaye, who worked on things like I think Bob's Burgers was the one that stood out to me, but other things for those of a certain age, MTV's Where My Dog's At, worked on Pink Panther and Pals, things like that, and he's getting a chance here. And then I mentioned Steph Curry, who is producing, or like him and Eric Payton sort of under their unanimous media company. So I feel like this story is also, I don't know if either of you are aware that it's essentially Steph Curry's story, because the idea, Steph Curry is a point guard, but he's small by NBA terms, and he's small in like literal height, but also he's quite small sort of stature size. So he's not what you would maybe look at immediately as a NBA player. He might be like 6'3" or somewhere. And I'm just guessing where NBA is like upper 6 feet to 7 feet. And what he does is then developed a 3-point shot, and he's like the best 3-point shooter in the history of the NBA. So I feel like it's very much his story, and there's a lot of that kind of nods to him, which I'll point out later. So for me, I don't know how it felt to you, maybe both of you as not being basketball fans necessarily. Did it feel like an authentic story, or at least not stand out as being inauthentic in the character's journey?
I feel like it did, even though I don't follow basketball. I do follow My Journey and a lot of like women in gaming, and I feel like I could like massively make those two connections of like it's irrelevant how skilled you are, it's irrelevant how much you've practiced and learned, it's irrelevant how much like actual knowledge about the games and the teams and like history of it you can absolutely destroy someone in a one-on-one and they will still not accept you.
Yeah.
So
Right.
for me it felt authentic in that sense. It's like, oh yeah, I know this story even though I don't know it from a basketball perspective.
Yeah. I mean, for me, one of my favorite anime of all time is Ping Pong, the animation. And for me, it does what this movie did, but it dives deeper into the narrative elements, which is kind of what I was wanting from this movie. So, I mean, for me, the narrative felt very safe, and I kind of wanted. We touched on this earlier, but I kind of wanted it to go places where there's that part towards the end where I was kind of wishing, almost hoping that they wouldn't win, because for them to win felt like it would be a bit too generic, like with Jet getting injured, and then Jet somehow still
Come
playing.
back
It
in,
felt
yeah.
kind of just felt weird. It felt like you could have maybe made Jet a mentor. Maybe Jet could have taken up a moment like a
Yeah.
mentor role, or like a kind of show what it's like for an actual player, like in the real world, that ages, like what they go through, like
Mm.
that ultimate kind of end to that story. Whereas here, Jet just wins and they're champions. Yay!
Yeah, yeah.
Yes,
It's a
that's true.
uh,
Yeah,
very
that
happy
did kind
ending.
of jarred me as well.
yeah,
But
it
yeah,
was
I
very
mean, I was
yeah, it
happy
was
for
very.
Jet, but it did, yeah.
Yeah, exactly. So, and I also think, like, we were talking about the whole hero's journey thing, but I feel like Will, as the main character, doesn't really go on that hero's journey. He's had the
Mm.
skills, he
Yeah,
proves
he's
himself,
quite
and
flat in
then
that sense.
yeah, it's very like, I feel like Jet had a bigger arc, or like maybe the other characters,
Mm.
actually the side characters, had a bit of an arc, whereas Will did not really go through any turmoil.
Yeah.
Like, there were some
Mm.
challenges, but he overcomes them. And him being
Very
small didn't really feel like,
It's not quite a detriment. I mean, you know what?
challenge.
He did. I feel he had a good or strong start emotionally for me because I did like the opening sequence with him and his mum, and like Tazzy, you mentioned about like coming from a low socioeconomic background, and I feel that sequence where he's taken to the game to take a picture and he doesn't realize his mum has
Oh,
gotten
that was
tickets
so
to the
cute.
yeah, and I feel like really captures this idea of like we talk about representation and things like that, and the difference that makes because you can see it is. I feel it was well captured, like the surprise and the joy in his face, and the
Yeah.
difference that makes when someone from that background and getting that opportunity and where that can lead to. I thought like that was a strong start. At least for Will, who I agree as a protagonist, and
Yeah.
we'll delve into it. Like, didn't quite hit that.
Yeah, and even that, like, this is why it felt flat. It's because even that, it was like such a strong like bond with his mum in that beginning moment,
Mm.
and then
Yeah.
like
And nothing.
she's kind of mentioned, but
Yeah.
we don't get her
She
mentioned
mentioned, but
again for a
yeah.
long time, for quite a while before we actually like we're like you're just left and you're like, what? Where's his mum? Like,
Yeah.
but no real like we don't get it even breadcrumbed in there.
In the second half, when Jet visits the
The
diner
diner.
with Will just mentions, "Oh yeah, my mom was sick. She fell
Yeah,
sick,
it's
and
a what?
here we are." I'm like, "Oh,
And
are
you're
we
like,
not
this seems
gonna
like a big
expand on that
part of
even a
your
bit?"
story. Yeah.
Yeah, like
Like even when you find out he's living alone, you're like, it's
Like
quite
why?
jarring, yeah, that we
Yeah.
go from like
Is bad. There's a lot of like threads in here that could have led to something, but then were left. I mean, what I would say is that I feel this is because there's a level, especially because we're talking about animation that is definitely aimed at young
mhm,
children. And that's not a bad thing. But there's a scale where you can see the cash grabs. Like I'm thinking, I haven't seen this, but I'm thinking the Emoji Movie, which is
mm.
just like a good example. This is not that. I feel like in many ways this is well done, and the story does it does tie to like the barest sense of it does tie together. Like
Mm.
there's
yeah,
loose threads here, and then the visuals as well. But what I think we'll get into where we've got the underdog story, which is I feel a good. I mean, we've seen it before, but it is a good go to. But then it's kind of like, what are you bringing new to it? And this doesn't necessarily bring anything new other than for, I guess, the intended audience who might not have seen, because this might be the first underdog story for a lot
yeah.
of the intended
I
audience.
I almost wonder if behind the scenes, because I can picture during production the back and forth between like the big bosses over at Sony, and I'm assuming what the director wanted out of this. Like, I'm sure there must have been storylines that were either like trimmed, or did they just were like, "Oh no, our audience is kids. Kids, this is what kids like. You have to, yeah,
Mm.
compromise."
Yeah. I feel like if I was a kid, I'd be very offended by
Yeah,
By
yeah,
that discussion, that was yeah.
not,
absolutely.
I wouldn't knowingly know that that's what's happening, but I feel like I'd feel it. But also, I feel like I wonder if the conversation of like competing with like attention spans, the like TikTok audience here,
Hmm.
if I feel like that must have come up, and I watched it like I was folding washing, but that's a low attention task. Like I
Yeah.
was watching it, and I wonder if maybe if I was scrolling on TikTok, I would have had a better experience.
You weren't in the right conditions.
Because
Here's
you
some long
could,
form task, Tazzy. Why are you wasting your
yeah,
time?
because I feel like maybe that was the discussion, and that's why we, as people who sit down and watch a movie, are feeling the flatness,
Yeah.
because
Oh,
a lot of
Yeah.
the conversations now we're making stuff is like, okay, how is this going to appeal to a scrolling audience?
Exactly, but also I mean, the product placements were egregious. I just could not.
Yeah.
I was like, what are we doing here? Why are they all driving Mercedes? Was it Mercedes? I'm not a car guy, but I think it
No.
was Mercedes. But
And the Mercedes was really, really jarred me, because I was like,
it just
she should be driving a Jaguar.
it did not fit.
Like,
Yeah, it did
how
not
did
fit
you
in
miss
with the
that?
world. Yeah,
you
honestly,
have
it
to
did
get a
not fit in with
license.
the world at all. Like the world building. One of my favorite aspects of this movie was the actual like environments and the world building. I feel like it was
Yeah,
really.
yeah.
I think it set itself apart quite a bit from like things like Zootopia
Yeah.
And the visuals
in those
help that.
Yeah.
aspects.
Oh,
Yeah, the visuals.
Yeah.
Like that was by far one of my
yeah.
highs for the movie.
Mm-hmm.
But then they would have the cars, and I'm like, what? That just
And it'll bring
feels
you back
so
down
out of
to earth
place.
in the
Yeah,
Yeah.
like
and I think one of the things, like, because we'll go into the sort of missed opportunities. One of the things for me, just on the this is like a pedantic sports thing, but because the film's called GOAT, just for context for people that don't know. So the idea is like GOAT is an acronym that stands for greatest of all time, and then it's an ongoing debate in various sports. But I feel basketball with Michael Jordan. I don't know if that was the first time, but it's like synonymous. Like who's the GOAT? Michael Jordan, LeBron James. And then anyone else who's thing, but they never actually say greatest of all time in this film. They always say like
I didn't even
GOAT.
catch that.
Yeah, they never say. So it's weird because that's the idea. Like I said, the overall
I
premise
think they
is
say
like,
it once, or they show it
do they?
once when they're doing the commercial, when they're doing the.
Oh, okay.
Oh,
I
Oh,
think it
yeah.
came up
I
then.
forgot. Okay,
I think it comes up like literally a singular time,
Like a scene,
very
like one little scene,
briefly.
yeah.
because that's
Yeah, like
important. It's the
blink and
title
you
of
miss it. Yeah.
of the
Not
story.
explaining that, yeah.
Yeah. So were you aware of that? That like that greatest of all time, and that
Yeah.
is the idea. In okay.
Yeah.
Just because of like from football and other sports you have them as
Yeah,
well. So it's
you
kind
got
of like actually you have it in like gaming, just in esports as well.
yeah. So it's become very
the terms used quite a bit. Yeah,
quite
very
global.
universal.
used around. So yeah, just in case anyone listening didn't know, but it's just they didn't lean into like that is the idea. Who is the greatest of all time? So that's one thing.
Yeah.
By the way, so thinking about the I mentioned like the background to Steph Curry. I did have this quote from Kath Clark at The Guardian, who mentioned it has a real life inspiration, basketball Stephen Curry, who has repeatedly told at the start of his career that he was too skinny and too small to make it as a pro. So Curry is a producer here and has a performing role, which I didn't actually realize until afterwards. But in spite of this connection, GOAT lacks heart and soul and a sense of genuine emotions. I don't know if it's a weird one actually, because I get the heart and soul. I get what it's going for,
Yeah.
and
I
the
wouldn't say
emotions
it's
kind of.
completely void of them.
No, I think it's got a heart. I think it's got a heart.
Yeah. I think it's just slightly muted.
Yeah.
There you go. Yeah, ever so slightly muted heart. I feel is a good analogy. And I mean, I thought it was interesting, or it would be like useful to go through some of these missed opportunities of the film for like people making stories to understand. So as Fahim, you kind of laid out, there is a good world here. So we see anthropomorphic world, check. I'm on board with that. Talking animals, and you have these interesting environments. So the courts themselves, but also
the
just
courts
the
are
urban,
good.
yeah. But just the
So
environments
good.
anyway, just where they are, because it's got this city urban landscape, but also nature in there.
Yeah. Because it's got the classic like train bridge, like rickety apartment that is like horribly connected to the train.
Yeah.
But
it's
at
like
the
all
same
this overgrowth and like
and like with the different types of animals, like there's like the delivery scene where he goes to the trees and you get to see
Yes, and
that kind
he's
of
shooting. Yeah. So stuff like that is interesting ways to use the environment. And brought up Zootopia, I feel is a fair comparison, because Zootopia has a really good sort of world and you see different places. Zootopia feels like it has a bigger scope. So this film, at least to me, feels smaller. And then one of the missed opportunities is, other than the smalls can't ball, that kind of thing, there's nothing said necessarily about the different types of animals. Because Zootopia, you've got the analogy about divides in society with different groupings of animals. Here, I guess to its credit, and again, I'm thinking intended audience, the sport raw ball is inclusive, at least from a gender perspective, and I guess animals, because there's all different types of animals. So you have like Jet is a female player, but you've got male players,
I
female
thought that
players.
was really cool, actually. Yeah.
Yeah.
So I think that's particularly intended audience, and that's great. So that's something there. But then nothing else is being said with the animals, which often you can do with anthropomorphic characters. And we talked about like the mother figure, which is a real big emotional missed opportunity because, like you said, Tazziii, you have like Sean Starr. You've got the mom there, clear role in his life, and then she just disappears. And then only like later on in the diner is mentioned that she died. And that's something I feel, because one, it's a question that you have, or at least I had. Where is she? I assume she died, but we're not we're not saying it until that
Don't
point, and
even
then not again.
outright say that
They
she
don't say,
died. They
yeah.
just say that she got sick, and I'm like, okay, is she sick and in a home? Like you just said, she's sick.
I was,
There was
yeah,
no.
no.
We need
My
some
exact-
medicine,
I was-
like can we
yeah,
get some cough
yeah.
syrup or something? Oh no, she's dead. Okay.
No, I was watching this with a friend. I had an audible reaction to that line when he says, "Oh, she was sick." I'm like, "What do you mean?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Like, there's got to be more to this. There has to be more to this. That can't be all that you say."
I equally had that reaction, and I think I equally had it like audio as well. I was literally like, what? Like, is she? I was like, she's ill. I was like, oh, they must go into it later in the film, and then they just never did.
Yeah. For me, it reminded me that emotional start point. It reminded me of Up, the Pixar movie, and in the sense that like it had that really strong emotional connection at the start, but then
Yeah.
in Up, for example, you had that emotional through line where that start actually impacts like the rest of the narrative, whereas here it does not impact the rest of the narrative. You have that amazing strong start, but then I think it could have helped potentially diving more into the fact that he was from a lower income background. Like, so when he gets the job, when the warthog,
Yes,
the owner of
Flo.
the basketball team, when she comes and offers him the job, I was thinking, oh, is she going to try and cheat him out of his money, or is there going to be like some kind of like
Oh my god,
cash
yes.
grab aspect? Is there going to be some kind of like,
Mhm.
because she knows that he's from a like low background, low income
Mhm.
background, but there was none of that. I was like,
Mhm.
okay, he's just, I guess, rich now or something, but like you don't really see him tackle that at all.
Mhm.
Yeah, either positively or negatively.
Yeah, especially as like before, like she offers him the contract, she has that conversation with Jet about, oh, what is it? Like she says, oh, do you just have like a skilled player like about that doesn't want any money or something like that will
Yeah,
play
yeah,
for
yeah,
free?
exactly.
So it like it was teed up,
Set out to cheat
but
him.
never. Yeah, like
Yeah.
I
That's
felt
the-
exactly the same in that moment. I'm right there with you.
Because I think even a small change like that could have done a lot, for the rest of the story.
Yeah. I was just going to say, he could have gone through a stage of like suddenly coming into a lot of money and like
Yeah,
how
like
that,
what's it like to, yeah. Mhm.
yeah, did that change him up a little bit? Nope, he was solid the whole way through.
Same, yeah.
There was not
Consistency.
there was not a iota of shifting in his
He was
state.
just excited about the TVs in his hotel room. That's it.
Yeah.
That's all we kind of got.
So we got that, and then I'm just to also say that to your point for him about like small changes, because sometimes it doesn't require a whole. I mean, I'm telling like Hollywood producers how to make the thing, but it doesn't require a whole kind of third act reshuffle. It could be a small change that just it puts enough in our mind to say, okay, cool, connects that to that. Now I have the emotional attachment. So one of the other things, I'm going to go back to a technical thing from basketball here, where there's a couple moments in the film where Will has this, I don't know if it was actually called this, but I'm going to say goat vision, where his eyes kind of like sort of move to the side, and it's like he had heightened perceptual, like periphery vision or perceptual zone. And I thought that was going to be key in the games.
Game. Yeah. I was thinking, what's the basketball anime?
Slam dunk or Kuroko's basketball.
Kuroko's basketball. Because there was the goat eyes and the fact that like Jet didn't even notice him when he was in the office. I was like, one of these, like I was thinking of Kuroko in that, of like, because there's the character that he's good because no one notices him.
Yeah. Yes, because he has no presence. That's his whole thing.
Yeah. And I was like, oh, that's what, none of it was Like literally none of it
Yeah.
made an into. There's
And it came
all
up
of these-
twice.
Yeah,
At least twice, I remember.
At least twice, yeah. I think maybe it might have even come up 3 times.
Even his height doesn't matter because he just jumps really high and then dunks and like shoots and like I don't know, because they lay out all these different, like, it's almost like a Chekhov's gun thing where it's like, okay, this is surely going to impact the story later
Yeah.
on. The fact that maybe he just shoots 3-pointers, and he does, but then he also doesn't rely on that. He does other stuff as well. I'm like, okay,
Yeah.
like from a skill level, I don't really get it. He seems to be able to do everything.
Mm.
And I think they kind of, because they did have that very brief training arc, but it was so brief that it didn't really make an impact.
Mm.
Yeah,
Because he couldn't get around blocks from big players.
Yeah, that's true.
And
he
then
never
he
had
could,
it to.
but it was so quick, like it was so minuscule and so quick that it barely, like the weight wasn't added to it.
Yeah. How long was this film? I'm just thinking, actually. Let me just...
I actually didn't mind
Also-
the runtime personally. I
I
actually thought,
think
Yeah,
I think it's fine.
yeah.
I'm just curious as to, could they
was
add
it like
more?
100
Is it like
and something?
100, an hour 40 minutes? So I think it's fine. Yeah, I think they could have.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think they could have maybe swapped or shifted some things in there. I think the biggest one, actually the second biggest one for me, I'll get to the biggest one later, was Maine as the what I'm going to call an absent villain. And so the idea is that Will, and I guess he was key to the sort of
Will was
initial
an absent
point.
hero, and Maine was an
Will
absent
was
villain.
an
We
absent
didn't have a hero
villain,
or a villain in this
Do you know
story.
what though? I'm gonna add a spin on this because you're saying that like it's a negative thing, but I'm just gonna add a spin on this. I'm gonna give them a point here that maybe
For
they
not
didn't
including
even
him.
have, but I feel like he really represented the modern villain of like just being a very online, not in real life, like voice that like is
Obnoxious
all
as hell.
talk, obnoxious, yeah.
Yeah.
Because he
I
even
can't
does
believe
like
I
the
could keep
live
coming back to the
stream.
Manosphere. I didn't think I'd
Yeah.
be referencing
Yeah,
this.
he's representing the Manosphere, baby, yeah.
It's all for clicks.
I feel like he would be in the
Fit
Manosphere.
right in.
But yeah, because like he even does like the live stream and like he's all like giving it all that. And fair to him, at least he could back it. Like he had won this, so fair. But he was very much. I want to swear. He was very much a word that we're not supposed to say on this podcast.
He's a waste man. he's
a waste man. He's like top tier waste man. But I feel like that kind of worked, and especially if you consider the audience, like that's what they're gonna be dealing with.
So I guess it's relevant from that perspective.
Yeah, like online, I'm gonna like even he didn't even want to challenge Will in the beginning, and he was like
He was
giving
too
it all
small.
that big talk. No, but it was like he was giving it all that big talk, but like really, you just be like, yeah, sure,
Yeah.
and then school him.
Yeah, just
But
done.
he
Yeah.
was trying to make a show of it. Like he was that kind of like showy off, like, oh my hair. Oh my god.
Did you guys cringe? Did you guys cringe at his diss track at all? Because I could not. That diss
little
track
bit,
was
Absolutely.
a little bit. I mean, there's a long
died.
history of NBA players doing not necessarily diss tracks, but
Is that a
records.
thing?
Is that yeah?
It
is
is
that,
it is a thing. It is a
oh
thing.
my god!
To
I
varying
not know.
levels of quality.
Because
So
we had-
most mid to not great, but yeah, it
That's good
is a
to
thing.
know.
It is a thing.
we had Lenny as well, so it was like
Yeah.
And then even like Jet had her little comeback, which was actually quite sick.
Yeah.
I wrote down that.
Yeah.
So yeah, no, there's a lot in this. So I'd say that in terms of authenticity, there's a lot in this where if you're an NBA fan, you can see, okay, cool, this maps to that and that. So it was there. I think for me, for Maine, I'll go for the narrative side of things, and why I call him an absent villain is we see him at the beginning where he has his initial face-off with Will, and narratively it makes sense because Will needs money, so they've established that he's just because he's sold his shoes and the money from the shoes he's going to use to pay rent, but then this opportunity comes up, it ties to his ambition. Cool, makes sense. So he puts all the money he has down on this chance of beating Maine, who can't remember why, but he's just here playing, which is supposedly the greatest player at modern day.
Yeah, that was weird. It was like, why are you in this like street court?
Yeah, but he's here. And the flow goes, Will ultimately loses because obviously he's a professional player, but he gets off enough, at least virally, on like online, back to the online thing, to
Oh,
show
like
that he's got
24
something.
million views. I don't
There
know
you
why I
go.
remember that.
Yeah,
But
that's weird. Yes, I mean, well remembered. Thank you. Yeah, so 24 million views, and then that's what gets the owner of the Thorns to see him. So it makes sense. But again, another thing that's set up, and because Main is supposed to be, so at that point it's like it's Main versus Jet, like the older greatest player and then the newer player. But we never see, unless I'm forgetting, until the end, we never see Main play basketball and show that he is very good.
yeah,
Or
no,
am I
we
missing
don't.
There's a
something?
brief bit in the beginning when we're first introduced to him. It's like, I think him and Jet are playing off, like in a match.
Yes. That's brief. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. And then I guess, yeah, him peacocking in this tiny little,
Yeah. But then
like,
after that, so we don't
yeah,
we don't see how good he is. So I guess it's a show don't tell, also in this case tell don't show, because
tell them.
main does a lot of telling in this. But we don't see his so when it comes to the final act, we don't really, other than we collectively don't want the Thorns and Jet and Will to lose, we don't know what the threat is because we don't know how good Main is. And I feel
Yeah,
that's like a really big letdown. You got to show
Mm.
like how dangerous is this person in the context of your film. So that's
Mm.
something. Yeah. So there's some missed opportunities. Like I said, I'll get to the another one for me a bit later. And I did want to touch on the intended audience thing, because there's a lot of memes in this, and I feel like I didn't get all of them. So what I can do is I can do the basketball references, because there's a lot of basketball references I did pick up. So I'll rattle off a few, and then I'll I'll ask you about the presentation of the film. So there's a few things where I think there's a moment where someone shoves a ball in his face and he doesn't move. I don't know if you guys remember that bit. That's a reference to Kobe Bryant, who so famously had this thing where another player, Matt Barnes, kind of, I was going to say jokingly but adversarially, kind of moves as if he's going to throw the ball in his face, and like Kobe doesn't blink at
like a
all,
feint.
like not fake, like he actually like shoves the ball in his face like he's going to throw the ball, so to get the reaction, like he's going
Yeah,
to duck
yeah.
out of the way.
It's like
Doesn't
mocking him.
Yeah, but Kobe just doesn't move at all, and it's quite a famous thing that gets repeated. There's a point where, speaking of Kobe, one player sort of visibly like steps over another player who's fallen down on the court. Another reference to Kobe Bryant, who did that after making a shot. There's this whole thing about Will's mum, who we, I guess, rest in peace. We're not sure, but she writes on his shoes. So that's again famous thing that Steph Curry's mum did for him. And then I think at the end where he does the celebration where he puts like as if he's putting him to sleep. So that's a famous like Steph Curry celebration, particularly like late in the game when he'll like make a three to like kill the game, and then he'll do that celebration. And then I wasn't 100% sure about this, but Modo, who I'm sure we're going to talk about a lot, is kind of like reference for Dennis Rodman, who was famously weird, let's say. He's a
Modo's my
weird.
favorite. Actually, he's my
I love
god.
Modo's my
Mojo.
favorite as well. Yeah. Modo's the MVP in this. But yeah, he's just weird. That's the best. Dennis Rodman was weird. Great player, great defensive player. Didn't score much, but is one of the reasons why people sort of credit Michael Jordan for winning. Was it the second sort of three-peat, because he had Dennis Rodman, who was just like a savant at rebounding, and if you rebound you then get essentially a second opportunity, so you just rebound and get the ball to Michael Jordan, and if you give Michael Jordan two shots to two attempts, he's getting one of them. So yeah, so a few there, and I think that ties into like sort of some of the visual aspects, which I think is worth making, because we've said a lot of like missed opportunities. I think one of the highlights of this film is the visuals, and that for me kind of ties into the pacing of it. What did you guys think about the pace of this film?
Oh god, I will say it's going really fast, but like nowhere.
It's
Oh, that's so perfect. I hate how perfectly that sums up the pacing.
Because it does. It feels really fast. Like, the flashy animation, the music. it's fun and it feels really fast paced, but the actual story
Where are we going?
is
Yeah.
not like what I don't even know how to explain, like, because it starts off and then I'm like, what's happening here? Where and then suddenly we're at the end and it's like then everything,
Thing wraps up.
well, I mean not everything, because we don't know what happened to
Yeah.
Will's mum, but
I
like,
would've-
and then right at the
I
end
would.
it's suddenly like, yeah, sorry,
Oh,
go
sorry.
ahead.
Go on, go on.
No, I'm done, I'm just ranting.
I was just, I was just gonna say, I would have loved to have, because the environments were so beautiful and like, I
Mm.
mean, the world building was so, I think parts of it were so well done. I'd have loved for the movie to have lingered on some of those, a little longer.
Yeah,
Just
because the moments it does, like when Will and Jet go back to the diner, that's one of the slower moments of the film,
yeah,
and that
Yeah,
you take
we
that
get to
in.
see
mhm.
more of the city, like,
Mm.
as they go through like the underground and the
Yeah,
right, yeah.
It's such a, and again, I keep going back to intended audience, but it's such a insight into, I guess, what producers today feel this audience wants to see. It didn't make me feel old. I won't lie. I felt the same way. I don't know if this is a fair comparison, but I felt the same way watching the Minecraft movie. Where there's a point in a Minecraft movie where I was like, which I still contend is great at what it does, but it's not a great film. I just watching it, I'm like, this is not for me. This is actually not. This is just moving at a pace. I guess this is what it is to grow older, but it's just moving at a pace where it can't be, it can't be for me.
yeah. I I just fundamentally disagree with this notion that producers, or I guess like these companies have, that like, oh, kids love fast paced ADHD content. Like it's
You
just,
agree
Yeah.
with that they're doing it, or you disagree that
I
whether they should be
like it
doing it?
shouldn't happen. They
Yeah,
shouldn't be doing it. Yeah, because I feel like there are examples out there of like kids shows. I mean,
Mm,
Bluey is a very young kids show, but you can make it work for multiple audiences. It doesn't
yes.
have to be just for one. You can be smart with it. I think
Yeah.
it's I think it's the production companies being more lazy than anything else,
do you not think it?
or being
Do you not
misguided.
think it works? So do you? Because I'll say I watched this in the cinema with some families. I would say some
Yeah.
of the. I heard some parents laughing at so some of the some of the adults were getting this, and I feel like it works, at least in the anecdotal thing. Do you not feel
Mm.
like they make it like this because the expectation is it has to be like this, or we won't pay attention?
No, I think like there's certain aspects of it I'm like, yes, they work. Like the level of like it was very visually, and like the music really like hit me. It hit those ADHD parts of my brain. I call them like sparkles, or like good dopamine hits basically were
Yeah,
there, but it felt so flat in other areas. And I think, I know I'm not a kid, but I think about things like films that really stuck with me as a kid, and they've got to have a combination of both.
Right.
Like, if there's no real like story, no real like character to really attach yourself to, then it's just fleeting. Like, like they could have made this like the story beats stick a lot better, and then had lifelong fans that will forever buy goat merch. Like, and it had such a good recipe to,
Because a lot of elements were there and even started.
yeah, exactly. And like, if we compare it to K-pop Demon Hunters, the music was good, but I actually don't remember any songs from this,
No,
because
actually, right. Actually,
it
right.
doesn't have the emotional beat
Oh, that's a
attached to
good point.
them to then
Huh.
be like, oh damn, yeah, like, whereas K-pop Demon
Yeah,
Hunters,
yeah.
as well as
I
being
still
like
remember
extra
your
catchy
idol. Or
songs,
yeah.
but yeah, but they also had the emotional beat that attached to them.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
then those
I
are
would say
songs
the
that
target
really stick
audiences are
into you.
slightly different though, so maybe that could have something to do with it as well.
No,
K-pop
but
demon,
music,
I don't think they're that different.
no,
not
but
musically,
music
but I just think, yeah, just
is an
narratively
emotional
speaking.
beat. Like, you still, it doesn't matter who the audience is. We're
Absolutely.
humans. We're all emotionally driven. That is literally how we remember stuff, is like an emotional attachment tied to a smell, taste, or sound, right? That wasn't there. Like,
Yeah,
you watch
I
this
kind of,
movie
yeah.
and then
They
you
should have
forget
treated
about
the
it.
audience like, I don't know. I miss the subtlety. I feel like
Yeah.
they were not subtle with any of their story beats.
And especially like you
Um,
said with the product placement.
Yeah.
As well. There was a funny quote from this is from John Nugent from Empire, who said, "Don't be surprised if, having watched this film, your child demands to be driven to school in a Mercedes Benz while wearing a PlayStation T-shirt and Sony headphones." Yeah, can't argue
Yeah.
with that.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, yeah, no, but I agree with you, Tazzy. Yeah, the K-pop Demon Hunters is a good thing because the songs you remember, and I think I remember one of the things that we mentioned, and certainly I said, and we all agree, is that narratively speaking, the songs tied so well to the moments in the story, such that you remember them and they stick, and they're just good songs in and of themselves. So
Yeah, I
there's
mean,
that as
it's an
well.
unfair comparison in that sense, but
Yes, but I will say, to Fahim's point, like I disagree about the intended audience. I think these are the same audience because I remember being
Okay.
in when we were at the Festival of the Girl and seeing at the end of the day the event would play Golden and seeing a bunch of young girls like dancing, and obviously the stories had an impact. I think it's a similar audience, but you know, because I wanted to make the point about I keep going back to the intended audience, and I feel a lot of the time, like, you know, this hypothetical, well, not hypothetical, some producer somewhere made this decision on how to pitch this, because a lot of the time we say, oh, it's a kids film, and that's like the subconscious, like, therefore it doesn't have to be good, it doesn't have to
Yeah.
be,
yeah.
and it's
But
not true.
again, K-pop Demon Hunters is
Exactly
also a
right,
kids' film,
and it's fantastic.
and it's
It
top
won an
tier.
Oscar. Yeah, it's like, and narratively, even as an adult, you can like Inner Demons, like that's some adult stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I know
Yeah.
people that are very much not into animation, definitely not into K-pop, not like that. That's really not their thing, and they've been forced to watch it by either kids or girlfriends.
But they come out enjoying
and
it.
and then they're like, that was an amazing film,
There
like,
you
and
go.
they wanted to go in hating it, and they just couldn't.
You can't.
And
Yeah.
I feel like Goat could have been that. It has some really good characters. Like, Jet is amazing. Jet is a really good
Yeah.
character.
Yeah. I love Judd.
I loved even like Archie's story, Lenny's story, Olivia.
Yeah.
They all had like really good points.
Those side characters all had beautiful arcs. Like they all had
really did.
actual emotional cruxes that they overcame, or like they
Mm.
all went, like all the side characters went on a hero's journey except for the
Yeah.
actual hero.
Except for the
It's almost like this should have been a series and
Yeah.
gone
Yeah.
through each of the characters in the
Characters.
team.
oh, you know what would have been good? Have either of you seen Win or Lose?
No.
I think I've heard of it. I think I've
Okay,
seen clips of it on YouTube.
watch that. It's a series. It's Pixar. Came out last year, I think.
I think-
I'm just making this connection now that if Go was a series, it could have been this. So
Oh,
in Win or Lose,
yeah.
it's essentially the framing is you got this softball, I think that's what it's called, softball team, and it's like in school, so it's young characters, and each episode is taking a different perspective, so a different character's view on the same, was it like week leading up to the big game, and you could have done that with this, where you've got different characters' view on the big game.
Yeah.
And Win or Lose is fantastic. You'll back to, I genuinely did not think I'd be mentioning the Manosphere as much as I am. I apologize, but as I was throwing in examples of things that young boys should watch, I'm going to put Win or Lose in there because I feel young boys should watch that with parents and have a discussion about empathy and seeing things from other people's perspective. My God, there's actually, someone should make a list. Maybe I need to do this, a list of things to avoid your child slipping into the manosphere. Here are the things to get them to watch and take away the social media. Anyway,
But
sorry.
watch Bluey.
Yeah, there you go. You should do
Bluey's-
that.
Yeah.
Bluey's up there as well. I feel like, you know what this is for me is the K-pop and Goat comparison reminds me of like it's like the Coco Melon versus Bluey in like younger children's media, where you have very opposing views of like, oh, what children's media should be like. Bluey has a lot of thought put into it. There's a lot of, they treat their viewers, the children, as like they're smart, they understand subtlety, whereas Coco Melon is just, it's almost like AI slop before AI slop,
Sure.
you know.
Yeah.
It's a bit harsh, but it's just, yeah.
Okay. I get what you mean. And
Mm.
why I was actually, I really wanted to talk about this to get to this point, because the other thing I'd add in there is the wild robot. And the wild robot might even be, I'm just thinking of rating, because I think the wild robot is a U here in the UK, and goat is a PG. I mean, sort of minor difference, but
Oh
that is a
wow.
difference. Yeah.
So hold on a second. This is a PG. Yeah, that makes sense as a PG, like in terms of how it is. But the age group that it's for, like these aren't like, so it's aimed at kids that have the cognitive
Yeah,
ability
yeah, yeah,
to like
Yeah,
to take on more.
yeah,
Yeah, yeah. Whereas the wild robot is a U, but the themes in that are, one, just better, more consistently executed, and two, are meaningful. Like, talk about death, it's clearly in there. It's a thing about death. They deal with it,
But
and
yeah, this PG says his mum got sick. Nah, I'm sorry. You
but
saying this?
yeah.
Sorry.
So that's yeah, that throws me off. And then, the point that Fahim, you made it a couple of times about the other characters. So that's definitely a note that I made, where I put a question like, who changes more in this film, Will or Jet? And it's sort of a misleading question, because the answer is Jet. Jet
yeah,
changes
yeah,
more. So like,
yeah.
who is this story about? Is it because Jet's an
Mm.
interesting character? And again, tying it back to the NBA, where as I'm watching, I'm thinking LeBron James. So LeBron James is now the oldest player in the NBA at 41, and he's doing things that are unheard of for. I mean, there's 20-year-olds that would wish they were doing the things that LeBron James is doing at 41. It is genuinely like impressive for it.
Mm.
But he's old, so it's like, is he past his prime? His prime was maybe 10 years ago, and all that. And so I see that. And just in itself, it's an interesting narrative in the NBA, because again, and at some point he'll retire, if not next year, the year after. But it's an interesting narrative to watch what he's doing, and to see the commentary around him, positive and negative, about being the oldest player and what that means. And it's interesting, at least it starts off interesting in this film, to see Jet, one being, again, you used to be good, good, and now there's this new guy, Maine, who is around here somewhere when he's not recording diss tracks. So you used to be good, now you're not. And I think probably the most interesting thing for me in this film is seeing Jet deal with it, and being like,
Mm.
I'm still great, therefore I'm going to take control of everything, and that's detrimental to everyone. Because one, it doesn't work. Just
Yeah.
for straight up, it doesn't work. They're a losing team. Two, it's making everyone miserable, because not letting anyone play, not even letting the coach the team. So there's that moment where she
Oh,
does like
so
relent,
good.
and then you see the
Yeah.
coach like, oh, now that's interesting to watch. That's one of the better moments in this. But it's not about Jet. It's about Will, and it didn't give Will that same treatment. So I think that's another
The
disappointing thing.
scenes, the scenes with Jet were some of my personal highlights. I think those all kind of really worked. The ones where it's like about her narrative. I mean, that part where she hands over, I genuinely laughed out loud when she like hands the coach the whistle, and she's like, "You're in charge of this team now." And the coach is like, "What? But I thought I was."
Yeah,
So I was in charge of this. He's like, "What do you mean? What do you mean?"
that was
It's
funny.
good.
That was funny.
It was
And
great.
yeah, and it's another sort of tie to Kobe, because Kobe Bryant so famously like didn't want to pass the ball, and in his mind, because he's the best player, so he was like,
Mm.
I'm going to take the shot, and so Michael Jordan was similar. So it's those kind of connections. Again, it speaks to the authenticity, which I appreciate. But then, like, narratively, yeah, more could have been done. And then you see by the end, the other characters have their change, and it's sort of like the Wizard of Oz, like it was in you the whole time, just needed to believe.
Mhm.
But it's nice to see in there.
I mean,
So
it's funny, and the other side characters, they all kind of these like powers, or not powers, but like they all had these like, they had their quirks,
Mm.
and they
yeah,
all
that
got
link to the animals.
used. Yeah, like the ostrich was like fast, rhino was like defensive and like big and like strong, and the giraffe was tall. But like, funny enough, the goat, like you mentioned, the side eye, the eyes perspective thing never came to
Mm.
play. It's
No,
yeah, it
it's
was very
wild that
puzzling.
didn't come with. It was there. You set it up
Because
twice.
you
One,
had
two,
it with the other
three, four.
characters, the side characters. Why would you not do it with the main character? I have an
Yeah,
NBA question,
go
Nigel.
ahead.
It the ending was felt weird to me when the pig character sells off the thorns, and
Okay.
then Moto
Yeah,
buys it back with the egg or something.
yeah, yeah.
Do 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 teams get sold and then they change stadiums? Like, is that
Yes.
that
Mhm.
So this
that's a
happens in
thing?
the NBA. Teams get sold and then change states, let alone state. Not
Yeah.
often, but it does happen. So it is a thing.
Ah,
Yeah, that is a bit of sports thing that I do know.
that's
Yeah.
interesting.
So there's a
That's
few
so
teams I'm trying to
weird.
think of ones off the top of my head. No, they're coming to mind. But I know that like the LA Lakers just got sold. They're not going anywhere, but they did get sold to new owners. The Portland Trailblazers just got sold. Boston Celtics, new owners. And then when I say like changing states, I think to my memory, the last time it happened was probably like maybe the 90s. So it's not
Okay,
a regular thing, but it
right.
is a thing. And then there's like two more teams potentially being added to the NBA. So that is, again, that is a thing. It's accurate and authentic in that sense. So yeah, I mean, we've talked about some of the characters. I feel like I don't know if any character stands out, but I feel like we just need to talk about Modo.
Yeah,
Yes, let's talk
Modo,
about
Modo, my God,
Modo.
Modo is my favorite.
Yeah, Modo is just such a captivating character. I don't know why. He's just weird.
They did him so good. Like every scene he was in, I laughed. It was just genuinely like a joy to see
Yeah.
him come to
That was
life.
a really sweet moment. So like when they all split, they will leave, and he's just really sad. Like everyone else is kind of sad, but for different reasons, and he's just really sad about his friends. Like he just wants to hang
Yeah,
out with everyone,
Yeah, that's a good
and
point.
like the others kind of had like more specific things, but his was like, I just want to hang out with everyone. And then when they go
yeah.
back to him,
Just
he's
the
like,
vibes.
yes, we're
Yeah,
gonna hang out.
He does the dance.
Yeah. I just love him. Oh, he's so funny. And like
Yeah.
I love when he gets serious. And then also that he knows he's like he's like, what does he say? It's something about him being like really attractive.
Says he's an icon.
And he's
Modo is an
yeah,
icon.
he's an
Yeah.
icon. And he says it. And then but he's weird still. And then he does his like he gets into his serious and then he's like really steps into his like, no, I'm an icon. And then there's just people like, marry me.
Yeah. I loved his dances as well. The dances were great. Just weird, like almost not improv. Is improv? No. What's the word I'm looking for? Experimental dancing.
Yeah, weird. I think weird is a good casual for Modo. he was something. He's a
And it
classic
worked
character.
with his animal, like
Yeah, for sure.
they went really well, yeah.
For sure. So, and then I did tease at the beginning, but there were some NBA and WNBA players, which I did not realize. So, didn't realize Steph Curry voiced Lenny Williamson, the giraffe, and his wife was the llama who owned the diner. Didn't realize that.
Cool.
Yeah, Dwayne Wade was one of the raw ball players on the Swampland Shadows. Can't actually remember what team that was, but he was one of the players. So Dwayne Wade, very famous, retired player, played with LeBron James at the Miami Heat, was one of the big three when they won their championships. Kevin Love, another, actually, I don't know if he's retired. He's very old, if he's not already retired. He's on the back end of his career, but he played again with LeBron James. A couple WNBA players, Angel Reese, who's a young player, somewhat controversial. I'm not sure why, but just whenever I see stuff about it, someone's got some issue with her, but young NBA player. Asia Wilson, older WNBA player, considered one of the best WNBA players around, certainly of her generation. And then Andre Iguodala, who played with Steph Curry when Golden State were dominating and winning everything. So that's kind of cool. It's cool that I didn't know. I mean, to be fair, I don't know all their voices anyway, so maybe actually I wouldn't even know. But yeah, it's cool
I
that
wonder
they
how
were
many
in
lines
there.
they had. I feel like I don't remember hearing many of these
I'm just looking at
characters.
the
Yeah,
so
no, the
Angel
other
Reese.
teams.
Yeah,
Yeah,
there were
the
other
other
The other
teams, the other
teams
teams didn't really
talk.
talk much. Yeah,
fair point. So I think other than Steph Curry, who else, because Lenny talks a bit,
Yeah.
and then I'd say Carol the llama, who owns the diner, because she does definitely get some
Yeah, she gets
lines
a
in
lot.
there. I can't remember many of them talking, but they were definitely there because they were listed. So that's something. But yeah,
I was just gonna say, like Lenny, I loved Lenny, and like
yeah,
his little, and I really loved Archie and his twins. Oh my god,
yeah.
Oh
they
yeah,
were
God, so cute.
funny.
Just chaotic
Oh my,
little chaotic.
They were a highlight.
Just
Yeah,
chaos.
they were definitely a
yeah,
highlight.
like it's
You're so
just
worried about them. It's like, why?
yeah. And I think is it the coach that points out
Yeah.
that like you literally do not have to worry about them.
Yes.
They like
Because that was the advice, right? You need to worry about your team like you worry about your daughters. And then he switches and he's like, yeah,
that
got
was
you.
that was beautiful.
That was great.
Honestly, I love
Yeah.
that.
So yeah, see the moments in this, the pieces. There were some pieces there in there with some of these characters. So we talked about some of the themes in this that were kind of there, but maybe not executed as well. I think they were executed because they're there, but it could have gone deeper, especially for the audience, which is not a universal audience. It's a PG, so I feel they maybe dumbed down too much, thinking that the audience wanted something different. I wonder, and I'm just come to mind. I wonder if I'm gonna go. Just this is a pure stereotype, but I wonder if they think like K-pop Demon Hunters. I'm gonna say is broadly speaking aimed at girls, young girls, and I think there's a common. I don't know if assumption is the right word, but common things that girls develop faster than boys. And I actually remember having a conversation with someone. I can't remember who it was, but they were talking about Bunny versus Monkey and that type of comic aimed at boys, which is just like simpler, funny, nothing wrong with it, but just assuming like basically make it dumb and fun for boys. And I'm just gonna again stereotype basketball or war ball. Was it? I'd love to have the conversation with someone. Just was it the consideration that this is aimed more for boys, therefore we're just gonna simplify everything? I'm not sure. Yeah, but I just want because I don't feel. Yeah, because I feel that given that the things were in here.
Yeah.
If I feel like for him said it feels like there was a conversation to like just sound this bit off.
Yeah. Like they won't get this. Don't bother. They're not gonna care. Like and I feel like the thing for me is like there's a lot of themes that kind of get started in this.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
There doesn't seem to be one central theme. There doesn't seem to be. They could have just picked one theme to focus on.
And just like run.
And went with it, followed it through the whole thing. But it doesn't feel like that. It just feels like there's loads of themes chucked in there, but none of them are ever really properly explored.
Because of that, the ending felt so weak. It felt so weak. The last few scenes, I was like, are you ending now? Are you ending now? Are you ending now? And it's like, you could have ended this like 5 scenes ago. It's just, because they were like, they were chanting like, horns don't. I forgot what the catchphrase was for the team. I'm like,
I forgot what it was, but I remember it. Yeah,
that's like, bad when your catchphrase is
you
not.
Can't remember it.
It's not memorable.
We'll have to look that up. Actually, can't remember. I remember the energy though. I remember the energy was there.
Yeah. Florence, don't quit.
That seems too obvious.
Thorns don't die? No, they wouldn't have used the word die, as we know.
Thorns don't unexpectedly disappear. Who knows?
I don't know. Yeah.
Okay, we'll get it. So the themes were started. They were there. The ones I could pick up was, I think, the obvious ones, like just going after your goal, because it is an underdog story. It's that sports story. Character has a goal. Others say you can't achieve that. In fact, we did a manga on this last year, and you do it anyway. So cool, get that. I think with Jet, like there's a lot there, like teamwork. I think that was one of the key things. Like you have to, when he meets Jet, she's just like independent to a fault, like to the point of self-destruction where he's just unable to share the spotlight. And it's, like I said, it's sort of not working. It's making others miserable, and things start to turn around when they do communicate and Jet lets the coach. Actually, that's another connection to the NBA, because there's always like LeBron James has this thing, maybe not right now at this age, but sort of previous coaches where it's like, who's the coach? Is it the coach, or is it LeBron James? And everyone thinking that it's LeBron James making the decisions and making which players to sign and everything. So actually that's another tie-in as well. But yeah, so understanding that when she trusts her team, good things happen. I think that's a good lesson. And then I mentioned there's maybe a sort of personal one for me, just that conversation around aging athletes and how the sports world treats aging players and how that affects their performance on the court, but also the psyche off the court when you were the greatest. And now people are like, when are you going to retire? And we're done. Here's a new young talent that we're going to bring in. And actually, one of my favorite moments in this story was the filming the advert, where
Mm,
that really came to a head, where
yeah.
just unable to like pass the torch, because that was the line, right? Pass the torch. She's like,
Yeah.
can't do it, can't do it. And
Like, I cannot say
yeah,
those words. None of
just
you
can't
say
say it.
those words. And do you know what's I liked that again, this is where they kind of started to add themes, is because in that as well, you slowly see the rest of the players, like they start off really confident and then they slowly just
Yeah.
Yeah,
deteriorate into
right.
like
And Modo was
That
like,
was great. That was
Modo
so
had a
good.
classic line. He was like, I feel there's some subtext here that I'm not
yeah.
getting. So,
Yeah.
but like Modo feels there's some subtext here. Yeah, that was a great moment. But I think overall, you know, what I felt at the end of this is one of those cases where like anime does it better, like
Yeah.
Mm,
going after your goals, and and a lot of anime is like series and very long running series, admittedly.
yeah.
But I just think I just think it's one of the cases. I'm thinking like Kuroko's Basketball is
Mm.
fantastic and like piece for this kind of story. And yeah, if anyone is listening and not into anime, I would recommend some anime. I'm going to recommend Kuroko's Basketball, and if you're a football fan, Blue Lock is great. Slam Dunk was like classic. Haiku, again. In fact, Haiku, that's the one. Small player in a
Yes.
in a sport with
It's
tall
so long
players.
though.
It's very, yeah. So and that's the pros and cons, right? At least this you can get done in
If you want
hour
a simple
40.
short watch, then Ping Pong the animation. I'll just mention that for the nth time.
Cool. There we go. I'll check that out. I've not seen it. I'm not familiar with it.
Yeah.
So
We add it to
there we
my
go.
other list.
We're giving you those recommendations there. So yeah, any final thoughts, any moments that that we haven't mentioned that left an impression? I feel
I just wanted to give a shout out to the environmental designers, the
Mm.
artists. I think it was I looked up the credits. It was like Nitin Chikar and Carlos Balila who led the environment team, and they just that was like a standout for
Yeah.
me because even though the story wasn't good, caught myself so many times just looking around at the
Mm.
different like
the
settings and
animation
just
style as
taking it
well is
in.
really cool.
I
Yeah.
think I feel like the courts could have entered the character section of this podcast
Yeah.
because
Yeah. Oh my
like
gosh. Yeah.
they were
So
so
video gaming.
alive. Yeah,
Yeah,
right?
very video game. I would play a video game like that where the courts were like
Absolutely.
just different. Yeah, that was such a
Yeah.
good idea. That was
Yeah,
a
like
stroke of
I'll
genius for
play
sure.
Raw Ball the video game.
The
The
video
video
game.
game, yeah, 100%, 100%. Yeah,
No, I get that. And I feel for the courts, what was good is, and again, because it wasn't basketball, it was raw ball. I feel they did it in a way you didn't have to know or care particularly about basketball. Like all the connections,
hmm
like I've mentioned, at least the ones I noticed were in there. So if you're into basketball, you can see, oh, okay, cool, this connects with that. But it was just interesting to watch the games, like seeing the courts change. And it didn't really like there's
Yeah.
no logic necessarily to them. It was just interesting to watch, and it meant like you didn't
Yeah.
have to be a NBA basketball fan to want to kind of watch the games and see what's happening. So they I think they did
Yeah.
that well.
I think they did because as
yeah,
well it's like you just have to know the basic gist of basketball of like ball goes in net,
yeah,
two teams,
yeah.
like, and then you didn't have to worry about knowing like the little intricate rules because it didn't apply here.
No.
Like,
Yeah,
and I,
It did
yeah,
not. Did not see
yeah,
one free throw being shot here.
and I feel like maybe like this is definitely more your area of expertise, Nigel. But the way the courts changed then added the kind of like tenseness of a match that you would have of like
yeah,
all that where people are moving around on the court.
That's
The
fair. Yeah.
the court kind of became that because you don't need to know the moves because you can see that there's physically lava or whatever
Yeah.
getting in the way rather than thinking like, oh, that position that's going to cause some trouble.
Yes. That is a good point. So, and I think with because the whole idea is like they're going through the playoffs, right? So, and I think one of the things in the NBA is like you've got the regular season and then you've got the playoffs. And the thing I always hear is like, oh, so and so is doing well, but would that happen in the playoffs? Because in the playoffs, people like lock in a bit more, so it's a bit
mm,
more tense. And because you'll play the same team up to because best of 7, so up to 4. Actually, you might do 7 games actually if it's tied 3-3. So that kind of constrictedness that happens in the playoffs, I feel is like represented by the courts just changing and becoming sort of tighter and tenser. So yeah, I feel again is not. I don't think it's a bad film, and is sort of true to the essence of the sport, in that sense at least. And I feel for me, I think we've talked about the main things. I think one of the things I'll talk about in a bit is like just with again with Will kind of going on at Will, but as a protagonist, I don't feel, particularly for sports animation and particularly for one produced by a basketball player, we don't necessarily see the specific progression. Like they win because Will gets the final shot, but like we talked about, we don't. He seems good at everything already, so we don't know what
Yeah.
he's improved at to be able to beat Maine and take the final shot, other than teamwork and the power of teamwork, which helps. But from a basketball perspective, we don't know what he gets better at to be able to compete in this world that we were told was not for him. But he seems quite adept at it. So that was a bit of a weird one narratively as well. But yeah, I think again, I think it was fine. It just could have been better. Could have been delivered better as well.
Yeah,
So
definitely was not a 3-pointer.
yeah, there you go. He's missed a 3-point shot. Try again next year. So so yeah, that is our discussion on GOAT, not the GOAT, but GOAT. So let us know what you thought, if you managed to catch this, if you're a basketball fan, if you're not as well, did it still work for you? Are you a fan of GOATs? If you're that person as well, let us know. You can get in touch with us in different ways, email, Discord as well. With that being said, it's now time for our storytelling tip. Each time we do a deep dive on the podcast, I like to pull out a storytelling tip for others to consider when making their stories. So this is a consideration from someone who also creates stories and likes to learn from the techniques or the mistakes of others. And for today's episode, I wanted to discuss seeing your protagonist's progression, because I feel that was something that wasn't quite done, as I just said, in this film. And it's quite important for this type of film, and just like storytelling at the heart of it, there's like a satisfying kind of technique, and it's based on this agreement where if a protagonist achieves something difficult, like we the audience need to understand how they became capable of it. So it's that visible skill progression that leads to the story's resolution. When it's done well, it can build trust because we see the thing happening. It has that catharsis for sure, and it can also reinforce the themes of the narrative. When it's not done so well, it can create that hollow victory that we've kind of talked about, even for a young audience. Well, actually, I don't know. I didn't interview any kids at the end, but yeah, it just feels like things happen because of plot rather than earned growth. And so it's all about learning. So we have to be able to track what the protagonist couldn't do and what they failed at, what they changed, and then what they can now do differently and better. And it's that clarity that is needed so that we believe the outcome and our protagonist feels capable and not just lucky or just plot. So then we get that final success and the tension release that comes with it. So in many ways, and this is one of them, GOAT hints at it, but ultimately fails to make Will's development clear and obvious. So that final game comes and we see that he wins, we get that check, but I'm not actually sure what he's improved to achieve it. And the film doesn't really show what has changed in his ability to justify the outcome, other than teamwork, as I mentioned. And the thing is, GOAT does have some elements in there early on. So even though we're not given a precise technical limitation of Will other than size, we do see him practicing. We do see that court vision, GOAT vision thing pop up a couple of times, but nothing else much is done with it. And his general basketball skill progression is not really measured. So we never see Will get demonstrably better at wall ball. And so that final success doesn't feel like it comes from some like newly mastered skill. It just feels like it was inevitable because, again, plot. We saw it coming the moment he broke Maine's ankles. And in case you say, like, it's just a kid's film, what does it matter? As we mentioned, I present Exhibit A, The Wild Robot, which is a very simple film, which we talked about on the episode, and aimed for even younger audiences. But in that, we see one of the main character, Bright Bill, and his flight progression, which is clear and also very emotional. So we see repeated attempts, we see crashes, we see him being coached, we see him adapting and improving. So by the time that final flight comes, we know exactly what has changed. Like his technique, his confidence, his awareness of the environment, it's all in there. And the climax works because it's not just a lucky thing, it's not just a miracle, it's the result of visible learning. And if we're talking like developing skills, we have to go to the classic wax on, wax off sequence in The Karate Kid, talking in 1984. One, the original, where we see Mr. Miyagi using repetitive chores, waxing cars with circular motions to train Daniel in muscle memory for martial arts blocking techniques without him realizing it. So that disguised training connects the mundane repetition to combat. And then we see the final fight is won because of defensive techniques that were explicitly built earlier. We get it, no notes. And if you haven't seen the original, go watch that. So here are 3 tips for making your protagonist progression clear to the audience. So number 1 is make the weakness specific and technical. So being not good enough is quite vague, but this player mistimes jumps under pressure is something we can understand and also see. So back to the wild robot and Bright Bill, again, we see the crashes. We understand that Bright Bill, another small character relative to the others around him. He's not good at flight, which is kind of important for a bird, most birds, and flying south for the winter, which he needs to do. So we understand exactly what's changed by the end. Number 2 is dramatize the learning. So not just the effort. So like show what has changed between attempts. Is it like the timing? Is it strategy? Is it mindset? And let the audience measure that improvement. So another example, non-animated example in Whiplash, we see that skill progression. It's very brutal, but it's very dramatic, and we can get it. We see Andrew like master tempo, control, endurance, and all that, and it's a very emotional journey. So that final performance works not only because we've seen him improve, but we've also been on that emotional journey. So it means something. And number 3 is make sure I would argue, make sure that the climax is impossible without growth. I don't think maybe it's not necessary because we literally just talked about a film where it's not it's not in there, so you can't do it without it. But I would say if you can have that final success directly depend on that evolved skill to the point where if you removed it, they would fail, I think that would make a better story. And one of my favorite examples is the Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse, where like Miles Morales, even similar to Will, he can do a lot of things already. So we do see him like try and fail to master his newly found powers. But I think the thing for that character is like that commitment, that leap of faith that is mentioned in there that he needs to get. So we eventually see him pretty much believe in himself. That's the skill that he needs to master before all the things they could do already kind of come into play, and he gets the lesson. So yeah, there's different ways to do it, but I feel just overall just making sure it's clear and it's trackable by the audience, whether you're into raw ball or not. So yeah, so that's the tip for this episode. Let us know if you're working on your own story and how you might apply something similar in your narrative. You can get in touch with us in our Discord or email us studio77@mymatter.com. Before we end with the episode, let's check in with our guest.
Before we let our guest go, tell people where they can find your work and what you've got coming up.
Hey, so I am Fahimation on all of the things. That's my name, Fahim, and then Asian, Ation, on Instagram and all those good things. I am doing a bunch of things, but all NDA, so I can't talk about them, unfortunately. But I could give a shout out to my show that I worked on, wrapped up last year, Nickel and Jay. We just got like more international releases. I think the announcement came out literally a couple of weeks ago. We're in Canada, India, Poland. Kind of weird selection of countries, but it's cool that there's clearly a demand for the show, and it's kind of growing its audience. So fingers crossed for season 2. Season 1 is out. It's on BBC iPlayer. If you're in the UK, definitely check it out. Help us get season 2, please. Thank you.
Yeah, amazing. Thank you so much.
Yeah, no, and thanks for joining us for him on a deep dive and giving us your perspective as an animator and
This was
storyteller.
real fun.
There we go. Yeah, even if the film is not great, we can still have a great discussion. So hopefully the audience appreciated that too. So do remember we've got a bunch of shows on the Studio 77 platform. It's our platform where we host different shows with creative professionals as well. And Story X Story is one of the shows. You can also follow us on Twitch to catch the live stream shows that we do, like casual conversations with comic creators and Studio 77 report and games night as well. So yeah, follow us on Twitch and YouTube, as well as follow the podcast. We've got a bunch of plans coming for different projects. One of those is the Look Like a Gamer campaign. We believe that everyone can win, everyone can play games as well. So our yearly campaign is about showcasing those players and makers who prove that fact. So we capture the diversity that does exist in gaming to inspire the next generation of talent. So if you're just discovering games or you've been playing for years, you can get involved in the campaign and yeah, just help us push for more inclusive games culture and industry. So we're currently working on the launch. So we're doing our photo shoots. We've done the majority, still got, as of recording, a few more to get. We'll be in Barcelona soon to wrap that up. It is the 5th year of the Do I Look Like a Gamer campaign. So once we launch, we'll have events, we'll have opportunities to get involved. We have some new things as well. So if you'd like to get involved with this year's campaign, stay tuned, because if you go to looklikeagamer.com, once we have the launch date out and made public, we'll have a live stream that people can get involved with, and then we'll have in-person events from then on. So stay tuned for that. And if you're a young, aspiring creative professional or you know one, check out the My Matter Showrunners Work Experience Program. So we are creating opportunities for young people aged 16 and up to work with our team across comic production, events, and content creation. And we've got different groups going sort of simultaneously as different projects going on. So we've got people working with us on the comic side of things, people working with us on the marketing, and we just did some training for events and content, events and media as well. So yeah, if you're going to see us at Comic-Con, you'll see the fruits of that program too. So yeah, there's lots to get involved with. And if you're enjoying the Story X Story podcast, make sure you subscribe so you don't miss a future episode, future deep dive, or interview. You can also give us a 5-star rating and review, because that helps us reach new listeners and fans of story discussions. We release new episodes of the podcast on Thursdays, and those include video game discussions, interviews with creative practitioners, and deep dives into stories across pop culture. You can always give us a shout directly. Our email address is studio77@mymatter.com. And our website with links to subscribe is mymatter.com/storyxstory. So thank you for tuning in. And until next time, stay safe. And remember, Modo is an icon. Take care, everyone.